Good Saturday night to you, and welcome into Jackson Generals on Deck. I'm Chris Harris, and tonight a special guest on Generals on Deck, one of the best catchers really in Major League Baseball history, a former Seattle Mariner. It's Dan Wilson. And Dan, I know your first time here in Jackson. Welcome, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks. It's been great. It's been a nice couple of days, and you got a beautiful ballpark here, and brings back a lot of Southern League memories, no question.
I know as soon as I met you, Forrest Snow comes up and says that's the reason why I was a catcher growing up. So a guy that grew up in Seattle, I know you are very well thought of in Seattle.
Well, thank you. Forrest told me that last night in the dugout, made me feel old right away. But thank you. No, I was when I think about my days in Seattle, just very lucky to be part of a group of guys and a group of players that we had a special experience there, and just being able to make the playoffs and go through some of the things we went through as a team and as a group of guys. Very fortunate to be a part of that, and it was just a great place to spend a number of years.
And now you're giving back to the organization that you played for. Tell me how it's been now being on this side of things.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I do a little broadcasting at home with the Mariner games, and do a little traveling from time to time. And it's been great, just to be around baseball and be a part of the organization. Mariners has been a great organization for myself and my family, and so it's nice to continue that relationship and be a part of it. And I really like the direction they're heading, and they're getting a lot of good young talent from the minor leagues and guys that have come through Jackson, very recently. So it's nice to see these guys coming up and having some success.
I'm going to ask you about a few of the catchers that we've seen around here that I know you've probably had a chance to work with, one being Mike Zunino, who has made his way to Seattle. Unfortunately, he has the injury. He's recovering from that right now. But tell me your thoughts about him.
Well, I think that what you guys got a chance to see here and what we've had a chance to see in Seattle is just a kid who's beyond his years in playing behind the plate and doing the things he does. I think a lot of times the catcher position, because of the demands mentally and physically, it can take a number of years, and usually a guy's 25, 26 years old by the time they're ready for the big leagues. But that's not the case for Mike Zunino. He's a guy who handles the position very, very well and the demands of it. And what he does defensively is outstanding, and I think what he's going to be able to do offensively as well with the bat, I think is going to be tremendous over the long haul, and he's going to be a special player. I think it's going to be fun to watch his development.
And from this team, how many of these guys have stuck out to you the last few days?
Well, it's a pretty talented group here. I think obviously I keep close eye on the catchers, and John Hicks is definitely a prospect here in this organization and does a nice job behind the plate as well. But I've been impressed with some of the arms that I've seen. The team seems to be playing very, very well right now. They're swinging the bat kind of all the way through that lineup, and the pitching has been good. And when you can combine good pitching, good hitting, you're going to win a lot of ball games. So it's been fun to watch.
Talking to Seattle Mariner great catcher Dan Wilson. Let's go back to your career. You caught so many great arms, including Randy Johnson. Tell me about your time in Seattle and around the major leagues when you played for some different teams. What's some of the moments that stick out to you?
Well, obviously, when I think about my time with Seattle and some of the memories that stick out there, really the classic matchup in '95 was the biggest highlight. You play 162 games and you're tied at the end of the season. You play a one-game playoff against the team you're up against, and it's lose or go home, really, and that's a lot of pressure for a ball game. But to come out on the top side of that was pretty special, and obviously Randy is a big part of that whole season and what he did for us in '95. And then 2001, a completely different season with 116 wins for the Mariners, tied to a major league record with 116 wins, and a completely different season, a completely different kind of a team, but fun all the same. And those are things that we'll always remember, and it's just some pretty good memories.
Now, you're not a stranger to the Southern League. You spent, I believe, half a season in '91 with the Chattanooga Lookouts, so these are kind of your stomping grounds back here.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. I forgot what humidity feels like, and although it's been fairly cool here, it's just been good to see some of these familiar teams and familiar faces and be around that Southern League again. I think one of the strongest Double-A. I mean, it's a very strong minor league league. And you see a lot of guys jumping from the Double-A into the big leagues and having success, and it's because this is a tough league and they prepare guys very well. So it's always a pleasure to come down here.
Always, fans always ask about the competition here, and tell me, what you remember about this level of competition and how it prepared you for the big league level.
I think the pitching here is pretty strong. I think making that jump from A-ball to Double-A here in the Southern League is a big jump, and pitchers here know how to pitch, and I think if you can hit here and hit successfully and consistently, you're going to have a chance to hit at the big league level. And I think guys like Kyle Seager are a perfect example of that. Brad Miller, guys that have come through here most recently, hit very well here and have gone on to the big leagues and continued to hit. So it's a pretty good indicator of what you're going to be able to do at the big league level, and that's one of the reasons why I love it down here.
It was a special weekend this past weekend in Seattle with them putting Ken Griffey Jr. in the Mariners Hall of Fame. If you don't mind, tell me a Ken Griffey Jr. story maybe that you remember and how special that weekend was.
Well, very special. I think to get everybody together and to see Randy and Jay and Edgar again and Junior as well. I think what's exciting about the weekend for me really was that it's just a precursor for what's to come for Junior in a couple of more years in Cooperstown, and the same for Randy the year before. And these guys are going to go into the Cooperstown Hall of Fame, and that's what it's all about. And to have played with those guys and had the pleasure to play with them on a daily basis, I consider that very, very lucky.
One of the greatest catchers in Major League Baseball history and for sure Seattle Mariners history, Dan Wilson. Great to have you in Jackson, Tennessee, and thanks for taking some time.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's Dan Wilson. This has been Jackson Generals on Deck. Thanks for watching.